too much. I try to consciously make it as different as possible while still evoking the same thoughts. Like I'll start with the animation. Actually, no, I won't start with the animation. I lied. It's a joke. Go to art flow. It would be nice if you look into it to see what kind of tablet you're getting, because you you might be able to get art flow on the tablet you get. And to me, it's good. Ah, I see. So I have so let's just start with Florida Man. It's important that you orient your canvas a lot, because it's easier to draw a straight line going down than it is to go horizontally, at least for me, like drawing towards yourself. Sometimes I have to do it diagonally, so if I want to do, I don't know if the live stream is up. Make sure my volume's turned down on my phone so I'm not stream sniping myself. So sometimes it's easier for me to draw a straight line diagonally, and that is not a straight line. Also, don't be afraid to scribble, not like, you know, incoherently, but like your brain connects multiple. If you have multiple lines, like this is, you know, thick and kind of shitty, but if you do like that, like the one next to it. Oh, is it not? Oh, I wonder if it's unlisted currently. I think it says it's live. To me. I thought when it said it would be live, it would be automatically listed. Yeah, it was unlisted. All right. There we go. I'm just going to rename it. Let's do art stream. Art stream. All right. Okay, it should be up now. All right. So something that's good, especially when you're doing line art, like it sucks because this is my tablet and I don't have many things started on this one. Let's see what I have. There's Zafel. Here he is. Come on. Just a moment, loading project. Why is it taking so long? This never happens. Am I charging? Oh, I am not charging. It's fine. It's fine. My brightness is all the way down. That's fine. I will burn my tablet to the ground if I have to. But you see, like, with his shoulders and, you know, his biceps, and, you know, there's multiple lines there. You know, I could go in and smooth that out. But I do that a lot. Like, your brain will look at multiple lines, and it'll pick the line that it likes most. So you kind of see the shape you want to see. So it's easier to find a more appealing shape when you have multiple lines like that. Because, you know, if I cut out this outer line here, you know, his shoulder might look too small. And if I, you know, bring it back, it, you know, it looks like the right shape because I'm seeing it in between this line I'm seeing right here. But if I cut this out here, you know, his shoulder might look too big. Which, you know, since this was a work in progress, not really a work in progress, it was a work because I never finished it. You know, that's how I do things. I never try and go for like I got to get all these lines like perfectly perfect. Like I was gonna do one of Azula. Just a moment, loading project. Oh, why is this taking so long? It never does this. So the one issue with this tablet is, so you see, I guess this is kind of, I guess I had gotten to the point where I was already thinning this down, and there's not as many Arrhenius lines. But the one issue with this tablet is that the color picker is fucked up, and it's only on this version of this app. It's only on this tablet that I've had this problem. So if I use the color picker, so that's that shade, and I zoom in, you might not be able to see it on stream, depending on what your brightness is, but the one that I laid down after using the color picker is brighter than, or it's not even brighter, it's kind of a gray tone. So it might be easier to see if I do it over something darker. So this one here, see, like that, and that's after the color picker. That should be the same color as the one that I just laid down, but it's this kind of weird grayed out tone. And I tried to fix it. That's the reason I have two. I tried to fix it by just taking all the progress that I had done and porting it into a new project and seeing if it was project-based, but apparently this particular piece of art of Azula is just cursed, and I can never finish it. And the reason that I have green here is because it's helpful when you're laying on colors in something to set the background color to something that is intentionally not close to any of the colors that you'll be using. Yeah, because something, you know, if you just use white, well, that's the wrong thing. I don't use the tablet very much, so I'm not super familiar with the control scheme, which I know seems backwards, but like if you have something that's gray, you might not notice, because you see this color right here is translucent. Like it's opaque, or not opaque. It is not opaque. If that's green, I know it's translucent, and I'm like, okay, Azula doesn't have any green on her. But if that was white and it was gray, I might think, oh, that's fine. And if I wanted to do a background, then the background would bleed through wherever it's translucent. And it's not super imperative that you have to do that, but it just helps me to just get cleaner coloring and stuff like that. It's just something I do. Which again is, you know, one of the big important things. Just because I do it doesn't mean you have to do it or that you should do it. I was going to do one of all my Valkyrs, but nothing ever came of it. I never finished it because I don't ever use the tablet enough. Okay, we are charging. Good. And I have some other stuff. I was going to do one of Fagat, which is this one here. This was a different take on Fagat, because I remember I sent you a picture of Fagat where he looked a lot different. But this is like classical Fagat, I guess. Yeah, kind of super mutant. And this is also where I did the chain one. I haven't, you see that I haven't used this tablet all that much. So there's the chain one, which really wasn't much. Really not my favorite. I like the Adolf Greenwood one better. I just had a bunch of other random shit. So what was I gonna work on? Oh yeah, Florida Man reference. Which that was this one. Okay. So I remember I did bring up Samurai Jack. He has a very Samurai Jack shaped head. I guess this is a good time to decide how his head is shaped. Because in some pictures, I'm going to go to the animation app now to see what's most consistent. I guess you haven't seen the seen the animation progress yet, so I'm going to play the animation out for you so you can see it. So this includes the updated Florida Man power-up sequence, which really isn't that different. I just added smoke around him. Updated GIRIDA one, which has a few new scenes. The spiral tap scene, which is roughly where I'd like it to be, so I'm probably not going to change it much. And then there's the kind of intense battle scene at the end. So I will just go ahead and play that for you to watch back in like a 30-second delay. Yeah. See, in that scene, Florida Man had very distinct cheek lines, but in some he doesn't. That one where he's brushing the blood out of his mouth. Yeah. So that last scene there, it's hard because I'm watching my phone to see what you're seeing roughly. So this last scene is going to have him kind of, the camera's going to pan around his fist, kind of like how it does in the fastball punch shot. And it's going to pan around until when the fist finally connects, it'll be facing GIRIDA, and it'll be GIRIDA catching his punch. But I'll play that last bit over again in case you want to see it. It's actually harder to do fast motions like that, because you know you have to get the like exact. Yeah. So like I'll have one frame for readying the punch. So here he is. The punch is cocked. The transition time to the punch is instantaneous. He throws the punch instantly. There's like a hold frame where it kind of shows his arm in better detail. You notice I'm starting to use thicker lines for a lot of the sequencing because it's to exaggerate movement but also closeness, because if it was really thin lines it would be just kind of dumb to look at. Like so again, so it's his right arm now cocked back, instant travel time, one pause frame. Now he's pulling back both fists. He's doing his knee, so you would count this frame as the leg cocked back, the startup frame, knees mid transit. The kick is the only one that's different because there's more movement in a kick than there is a punch. So there's, you know, throwing up the knee, throwing up the foot, pulling the foot back down, and then it's just kind of instantaneously back into like standing position, and then another fist ready, punches thrown instantaneously. And since there's more movement in this one, so you see he's kind of slowly sliding towards the camera in this one shot, or you will see as he throws this punch. So we kind of go from facing the side of him to facing the front of him. And that's not camera movement, that's him moving, but you know, whatever. There's one frame here where I forgot to color in his sideburns. I'll fix. Perfect. that'll be fine. So this is kind of the ideal Florida man to me. I don't emphasize his cheeks nearly as much, and his chin's a little bit more pointed. Um, the it's it is difficult because I half-ass things, so different scenes look different. Like he just looked kind of emaciated when you look back at that other one. What? Yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah. So hold on. Okay, I am back. So I guess I'll key in the ideal Florida man in this moment here. I just draw original DSL's Florida man. So this is kind of the basic shape, kind of a blocky U. Sometimes his chin is a little more rounded. Sometimes it's not. I really just I have no explanation for that. That is, I think, something I picked up from Samurai Jack, because there's a lot of like, not art inconsistencies, but there's just like subtle design changes with how Jack looks sometimes, especially as the show goes on. A lot of the times when starting the head, I actually start with the bandana, because it's just like, it's like, like a majority of the time, no matter which way you're looking at him, the bandana is always the same shape. It's just kind of a rectangle. So that's generally what I started with when drawing him. I'm not sure how consistent it is, but generally, unless there is reason for it to be facing another way, generally the spikes on his hair will go to the right, just because it is, me being right-handed. Okay, what the fuck happened there? That's gay. We'll get to watch that. Generally the spikes on his hair go to the right. Yeah, sometimes that happens. I don't know why. Now, the eyes can be really inconsistent at times, because a lot of the eyebrows are generally always the same. So you have these kind of high arching eyebrows. The eyebrows tend to go up into the bandana a lot. Yeah, which is fine. I feel like that gives him character. The shape of his eyes themselves, though, I'm gonna cheat here. They might. Not sure. Actually, I'm gonna make the bandana a little thicker. The eyes can be really inconsistent sometimes. Like, sometimes his eyes are, fuck off. What is with that? The screen centering thing just pissed me off. So sometimes his eyes are kind of like this. Maybe less like that. Shit. So they're kind of a, that half, or the semicircle. Fuck off. Why does it keep doing that? Alright. And then sometimes they're like full Dragon Ball kind of meme with and then there, like that. I have no explanation as to why either. More recently they're more Dragon Ball-esque. Generally, when I do them though, I don't have this straight line on the outside. I do kind of like that, which kind of makes it more Dragon Ball. That's just kind of a squinting one. Personally, I don't want to say do whatever you want to do, because obviously we have to find a consistent mark. But personally, I want to take a step away from the Dragon Ball eyes, because they look very distinct, and they're obvious that anyone who has watched Dragon Ball are like, oh, yeah. That's his eye, and since I did so well with this, I'm just gonna steal it. It's because if you were to zoom in, you have to realize that, you know, if I were to just tap the button, that's not the right tool. If I were to just tap, that's obviously not 1 pixel. And when you lay down a line, it fits to how the pressure that you put in. So the innermost line is fully black, while the outer lines are gray. So it doesn't count that gray as white. And since when you fill in, anything that's not labeled as white is, leaves an outline. And that is really annoying. I hate that. Like so many. I've actually noticed that it's a lot better on the animation software, where it doesn't do that as much. That's kind of where the other eye is going to be. I'm just going to steal it again. With that. Roughly where it goes. And something that is pretty consistent is always in between his eyebrows. He has the little, don't know what those are called. It's also very Dragon Ball to have those, but seeing as how normal people, yeah. The nose I generally do. I generally don't do the anime, like, triangle, diamond-shaped nose. Kind of like one of these kind of memes. Like, I've noticed a lot of animes don't like to draw a connection between the actual bridge of the nose here and then, like, the nose itself. Yeah, I don't like doing that, and I think it looks more interesting to me to do when it's, yeah, when it's straight. I like to do this kind of candy cane looking thing, and obviously the line would favor the direction that they are more likely to be facing. So yeah, they're okay. Well, that's just how you want to see things. Fine. And then you would give the kind of nostril vibe. Sometimes I sharpen this a little bit, because a lot of the noses I generally do are kind of have that sharpness to them. And sometimes I put another line here, but that's whether or not you want to do that is up to you. Now there is some weirdness to the mustache. because sometimes his mustache looks more like Carl's mustache, and sometimes it looks like Hulk Hogan's mustache. And I base that all around whether or not his mouth is open. So if his mouth is open really wide and he's yelling or something, generally the mustache, I'm gonna have the mustache kind of conform around his open mouth, so it kind of comes off as more Hulk Hogan-esque. So if I were to do like that, and I do the like classic anime teeth tease. So that's kind of a little quick sketch of what would be an angry Florida man. Yeah, I thought I did think about that, and when I was doing my when I was doing the ones on my phone, I had his mouth visible, so his mouth was like here. But I do kind of like having the mouth just be underneath the mustache. I do generally kind of create a divot for his chin, so I think because when I draw him from the side, he does kind of have a chin profile a lot. And obviously you want to try and make that look as much not like a mouth as possible, because that's the whole Kim Possible thing, is like everyone looks at her and her like upper lip looks like a mustache, and the little divot for her chin looks like her actual mouth. And generally I will just shade this in. This kind of depends though on how far away he is, because it's not really that big of an issue otherwise. So important thing with the ears is the ears stretch from the top of the eye down to the tip of the nose. And the ear shape kind of varies. Generally, I wouldn't have so much of that kind of sausage shape. Generally, I'd have it kind of arc inward, and then I'd fill in here to give kind of a contour into his hair. So it kind of gives his head a more three-dimensional shape. Obviously, this kind of here is a little stunted. And generally what I'll do with the ears is I'll kind of accentuate the lip on the top of the ear, and then I'll do something in the bottom, and then I do kind of like that. That kind of depends though. That depends on what angle you're looking at the ear. And sometimes you do more lines on the inside to give more definition, but since, you know, it's not supremely important at this angle, I'm not going to bother. There is no right or wrong number for the amount of spikes his hair has. Just do what feels right to you. And like I said, occasionally, it generally points to the right, unless you're rotating around him, because if I go back to the animation, I do try and keep consistent hair movement as close as possible. You have to remember, if he's moving towards the camera, his hair is spiked back. I forgot how to read for a second there, and I was looking for the art app, or the animation app. So like if we go to the section where GIRIDA punches Florida Man and he spins around, see, from the start of the punch, it arcs right, and then it's kind of forward, and then it goes from forward to left, but still it's implied that it's spiked forward, but when you're looking at him from head on, it would look like it's spiked to the right. And then, there's that. So that's, and I'm not sure you can really see it in this scene. So this scene, he's been moving. Shit. Leaving behind nasty highlighter marks on these scenes, I bet. Let me make sure I haven't fucked any of these up. Yeah, there's one. I wish it would, the fucking app would just be like, don't make marks if I'm in the timeline. Like, I don't know. It has to be a thing. So, okay. So I'm gonna wait for the app, the live stream to catch up. Alright, so, so in this, like, this scene, hair is, we're in motion, so the hair's spiked in the direction of the motion, then spikes backwards because he's moving towards the camera. And then it's still kind of spiked to the left because he was just moving that way. And then we have this little movement to the right here. So you can assume that when the hair is off screen for like these brief few frames, it is going from left to right, and then it is back to the right, and then as as the frame ends, you can see it blowing backwards. But that's a overly verbose discussion on his hair. Back to the original. The neck generally starts from right here. It is, in most cases, just two straight lines. I don't generally put too much definition into the neck. That, and I feel like it makes him look a little bit more kind of, I don't know the word. It does have that Samurai Jack flair, but it's kind of, I don't know, it just looks more human to me. I feel like going for like the huge like trapezius muscles, like, like going like, yeah, like TN is fucking like ridiculously buff in the Cell Saga. And yeah, honestly, I mean, you have yourself to thank for that, because you made, obviously it was a little bit different back then, but, from that, this was derived. And we purified his design, removed the dick-sucking lips, and there you had it. You have perfect Florida man. If you want, now, I've never kind of specified the length of the hair on the back of his head. It's definitely not like full mullet territory, but if you want to show a little bit of it when facing from the front to just kind of give a bit more shape to his head, feel free to do that. I wouldn't really do it on both sides, because then it'll look like mullet. So just kind of do whatever your heart desires on there. Yeah. Kind of gives off too much of like the Obi-Wan and Attack of the Clones meme. So you'll notice sometimes in the animation is that I have kind of changed the way his robes look. So he's still kind of got like the martial arts robes. They do kind of, they pivot down. They're still shaped like the chest to some extent, and then they get tucked in here. So something that WWE Florida Man does not have is he's got the little like, the little martial arts kind of belt tie around, which is another thing that I use a lot when I draw Florida Man. Generally, I start with that little belt area, because like I said with the bandana, it is generally the same shape. Yeah, it's generally the same shape across multiple scenes. I like to not have him just fully straight shoulders. I like to, dimple him up a little bit and create some wrinkles along the inside of his vest thing. Don't know what it's called. Don't know what it would be. It's weird gi. Um, Now I'll have to check because I'm not actually sure what I usually do in regards to his whether or not he's wearing a shirt underneath it. Um, in fact, I think a lot of the time it's just kind of a blank void. Um, like I just draw the V for the V neck, and then I draw everything else around it. Sometimes, depending on the view of his face, you don't even really see the V of the V neck. And this one here, it's like a turtleneck. It's like all the way up to his fucking head. Um, he has some kind of weird rainbow colored tank top. Um, yeah, I don't know what exactly the vibe is for that one. I don't know what I like because I feel like it works either way. I feel like I had drawn at least one thing of him showing his clavicle, which implied that he was topless underneath the vest. Oh, I think that's in him reacting to Garita. Or not. That just has no V-neck at all. He's just wearing a sleeveless hoodie at this point. Um, so that's kind of weird. I know I think I've done some drawings on my phone, which I can't show, so it doesn't help me. Um, what do you want to do? You want to do shirt, or you want to do like kind of a Goku slash TN? Him showing some muscle underneath there. Or we can just kind of do like a low shirt, and then we can do kind of both, and we can still show off his muscles, but still imply he's wearing a shirt down there. Yeah. Um, so that's... Yeah. I think it'll just be a black tank top. Yeah. Um, okay. Now, arms-wise, I have buffed him up significantly in the last few clips of the animation, but he's exerting himself at that point, so I'm justifying that as the blood's pumping through there. I always start with the shoulder. I always have the rounded shoulder. Yeah, kind of maybe like a little bit more buff than like a Bruce Lee. He's got like a good amount of muscle definition. Um, yeah, he had nothing else to do. Obviously you want to get the right or the right bicep shape, or the forearm shape. That's not the forearm. What is that? It's the upper arm. Um, and you want your shoulders kind of teardrop shape. So you see, if I were to finish the shape of the soldier. Um, See, it kind of has that teardrop shape. Uh, and generally, you don't want that line to be complete unless they're like super ripped and they're like, each muscle is like clearly defined. So you kind of want a little bit of an outline there, and then generally, from wherever that teardrop would meet, I would add the line to kind of accentuate the bicep there. So that would be your like inner bicep, and on the out there you'd have your triceps. Yeah, the shoulder is a key part. That is something I've learned from watching Dragon Ball is a lot of characters have very very toned shoulders. Um, Now, something always good to remember too is the proportions in conjunction with their body. So I've done the proportions a little weird. He's kind of got a Frieza thing going on where his head is obscenely large. So I'm gonna fix that real quick. So important thing to remember is that in positioning for the hands and the forearms, generally the forearms are the same overall length as the upper arm, but it's that, you know, I find that the shape fucks with me a lot sometimes, even now. Again, my human figures aren't nearly as good as machines because there's give and take to a human form. So you want to make sure you accentuate the elbow, depending on which direction. If the inner elbow is facing you, obviously you would have no mark. You wouldn't do like that if the inner elbow was facing you, because that would just look bizarre. So you want to, you know, yeah. And you want to get the shape of the forearm right, which I did not. Forearms can be tough for me. So like that. That's generally what you're going to do. I learned from Samurai Jack I point things out a lot. So like, you know, instead of a forearm, I would do like one of these numbers. And something I still do, even with the fist, because fists can be pretty annoying. So like, sometimes I do like this for it. If this is like a quick movement shot or something, you know, his forearm would be shaped like this, and I do. So you go out with the thumb, so that's where the thumb would be. Then you curve out again, and you want to kind of accentuate the index finger, even if it's not implied that they're sticking out their index finger. You know, that looks more like a fist than, say, that does. If you were just to do that, that just kind of looks weird and flat. But if you accentuate their index finger, it kind of gives some kind of indication of texture there, and definition. Yeah, and that is something I have pulled straight from Samurai Jack. He does that a lot. He does a lot too is Gendy Tartakovsky, the artist, does kind of like that sometimes, to like accentuate all the fingers. That's up to you. I don't personally do that. I guess that kind of depends on the direction you're looking at him. So if you're looking like still above the fist but more in front of it, you would accentuate the knuckles. But if you're looking directly above it, you wouldn't have to. It would just be, you know, the outline of the fingers going across. But that's fully up to you. Again, sometimes I do the marks wrong, but it's fine. And it's taking score. Well, that's a really shitty fist, but I did so well on the other one that I don't care. And I made the forearm a little bit too long, so I'm just gonna recede that back into his elbow. Kind of have to remember that the fist kind of hangs right where the groin would be. So this is kind of memed it. So like his chest should be a lot bigger. But I mean, I don't know. I guess if he had baggy enough pants, that I guess this isn't so much his waist as it is tied around his abdomen. So it could still be right, but it it kind of depends on how you want to see it. And again, that's kind of a Dragon Ball shaped character. It has that kind of Justice League kind of body definition where like they have a huge torso and little tiny legs. That's kind of what I do for that. And that still looks somewhat correct. And obviously we have the big kind of flared out look to his pants. He's got his, so you don't really have to define the legs that much. Hell, you don't even have to do the kind of shape of his legs really at all. He's got the big baggy pants on, the Majin Buu pants, except he doesn't tuck his pant legs into his shoes. So that's basically Florida Man. He's kind of got a Trunks kind of build to him, where he's kind of a thin frame but still very, very muscular. Yeah, and I guess I could still fix up that arm by changing it a little bit. And this still fits with that kind of the skinny buff thing we were talking. Yeah, just you link that up. Remember to get the floating piece of his pants that's part of his arm. You don't want to forget that. Kind of like how Fagot's cape is like glued to his bicep. I'll do a quick GIRIDA too, because I'm actually I've worked down the strategy to doing GIRIDA a little bit better. I'll do his face because he's otherwise just a buff dude in underwear when you don't color him in. He still kind of has the Dragon Ball eyes, which I'm fine with. A lot of the time I have I kind of give an elliptical shape to his eyes sometimes. So he's kind of got... This is kind of what I was saying about... I based his eyes more off of Team Piccolo than I did Cell's. Because Cell's are kind of like... that. Whereas I try to keep as many curves in there as possible. There's old Cell for you. And he kind of fits that Cell drawing style, where he's like one of the only characters with pupils. Because like I'm pretty sure Frieza just has like the black dots. I think, not actually sure. And then obviously you just whip out that fill tool, and then hit your boy with it. And then you want to do the classic kind of Dragon Ball thing where you accentuate their eyebrows, even though GIRIDA doesn't have eyebrows. And a lot of the time I accentuate like the line in between his forehead too. So do like that. And then with his weird headpiece thing, thing that fits right above his eyes. I kind of go out, so you see those are not, you know, straight lines. They kind of curve out a little bit, and then, you know, inward curves to create that kind of point at the top. Let's get rid of cell here. What the that is not. Why did it erase like that? That's so weird. It's like I'm smearing it. Alright. Again, the nose is generally a little more accentuated. Keep on saying that word. He has, I guess his mouth is pretty still. I've tried to change the width of his mouth. I feel like wide mouth is better because I feel like that fits more than how Garida looks in WWE. He's got a wider mouth. Now Cell's cheek eye things. Cells do like that. I'll wait for that to come up. So they're gonna kind of curve to them. I don't do that at all. I just do straight down. And I guess they did that to kind of give depth to his eyes. So if you do like that, it kind of looks like you assume his face trails in towards his eyes, and that line is actually a straight line, but you're just looking at it as it, you know, it's being deformed by the way you're looking at him. But I do that just by, I think Frieza might have that. Again, I try to accentuate the chin there. He has nothing on his chin, unlike Cell, who has got like a chin strap or something. What is happening with my eraser? Is it catching that? It's like not erasing, but it's like fucking it up. That is bizarre. Yeah. I've never had to do that before. Again, the build for this I don't draw on the tablet very much because the build for this for the app on it is just kind of weird. Yeah. That happens on my phone, to be fair. My phone just it picks up some kind of cue to recenter the screen, and it just does it no matter what you're doing. Man, that is really weird. I have never experienced that bug before. Maybe if I switch erasers. Yeah. Which I that's what I like to go for at this point. Even though he started out as, yeah. He's got fucking Super Boo's eyes, 1-for-1. Kind of got the whole gist of Cell's face. He's got Frieza's weird eye things. Yeah, this eye is... Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, like this thing here that I just circled, his weird head plate thing. So I'll get out a good decent bit of the chin, and then on both sides I'll draw a downward pointing triangle. And that is like the beginning of his helmet thing. Guess it's just his head because he's not wearing clothes. Kind of in towards the cheeks, and then out closer to the eyes. Kind of has like a Roman centurion kind of helmet look to it. Not really, but use your imagination. Like a legate helmet or something. I don't know the terms for any of the Roman things. kind of bulges out here for where his... Actually, no, it wasn't. His ears aren't there. Kind of straight, and then it bulges out. And then just go straight on up with the old horns or whatever. Just bring him down a little bit so we can fit all of him in. I mean, are you gonna let me? There we go. I generally don't give them much of a point. I generally go in, level off, and then go back down. And that is to try and make them not look like cells. Man, that is really weird with this fucking eraser. This eraser's just broken. This sucks. Okay. There's that. That's not quite right. There you go. And then give his little head dome and the rest of his cranium. And that would be like, that is straight out of Cell. That is like a shiny black ball that he has on the top of his head. I don't always shade this in the animation, but you know, when I finish the animation, it'll be like that. And I guess this is... I'm going to have to figure out the color scheme for this thing in his current form. I don't think I've ever done a colored Garida picture yet. Yeah, I haven't actually done colored pictures of many of our favorite characters. Like, I've really only done the ones that have been on the posters. But I guess we'll have to figure that out now. Because I know in WWE, the helmet itself is... Is it blue? And his horns are yellow, I believe. I don't think so. Could be wrong, though. I'm gonna see if I doubt I have a save of him in his base form. Because we didn't use his base form very much. Let's see what I got. We'll figure that out. We'll figure that out. It doesn't have to be exactly as it is in WWE. And he's got his the bluer part of his face. Just shittily do. Just kind of fill in the blanks here. Now this fucking eraser is broken. No? Oh no, I was using the smear one. Alright. And then you have your classic Super Boo red eyes. I think these colors would be a little bit more not contrasted, what is the word I'm looking for? They'd have less saturation. So they'd be kind of that. More like that, really. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, what color should it be? I know it's fully black in his second form, or in his final form. Should it just be the golden kind of yellow? Or should it just stay black? Alright, well it'll just be black. Yeah, let's make it not black, but kind of on both forms, it'll be a dark gray. That way I can shade it better, and uh, it won't just be a black silhouette. It'll be kind of closer to this color. And that way I can shade the inner bits of it. Because, you know, his head dome thing there will be fully black with, you know, a shine on it. And I don't want it to look like the same texture as his head dome, because it's, you know, it's not supposed to be. Just do this back here, yeah. Well, ta-da. You have one GIRIDA. Hmm. Just gonna eat this real quick. Alright, so there's base form GIRIDA. Guess I should fix his WWE counterpart. It kind of made his eyes pink, but they're not pink. Remember, they're red. Like Majin Buu, not Cell. Because Cell actually has pink eyes, doesn't he? I believe so. Not sure why. I'm pretty sure he does. There he is. That's a GIRIDA. Take it to the bank. That's a GIRIDA. Alright, I think it's a pretty good place to end the stream. I think that's a nice little tidbit of garbage to root through.